Hello everyone, welcome to Blue Dragon Universe, and this is the Excel course. So this is our first, dive into the technology-based things. I'm also thinking of starting an new YouTube channel on technology because eventually we'll be creating multiple courses on Python, SQL, right? But in the first half of 2025, we are hoping to create Excel and VB. And when I interview people, actual freshers or people who have around 3 4 years of work ex, so I usually ask them this question: How much would you rate yourself out of 1 to 10? 10 being the highest, and many people will give them a rating of 7 8 9, and then when I give them a simple task, they are not able to do that. So this course is scheduled or created to kind of give you that mark. Actually, after you complete this course, you will be easily able to give yourself 9 out of 10, because Excel is a very vast software. Excel is the most flexible software that I've ever used. There is no software which is as good as Excel in terms of flexibility, in terms of calculation. That is why, whether there is Python, whether there is R, is again R is outdated, whether there is SAS, SQL, etc. Excel always has its place. Excel is very close to my heart, and this is the first software that I learned after moving into Actuary. So, and also for Excel is used in CM1, and also CP2 is dependent mostly on Excel, right? So that is where from for an actual student also this is very important. But however, this course is not designed for actual student as such. This is for someone who is interested in learning about Excel and Excel formulas, right? So I'm not going to cover any other software interaction with Excel, like how ChatGPT interacts with Excel, or how, because I think those are very easy to understand, and that is not how you should learn, or maybe how Power BI interacts with Excel, because that is once again something easy. Power BI is actually not needed if you know SQL and Excel. So I think that is something that is not that relevant. However, if you are interested in learning in depth about Excel formulas, how you can write difficult and complex formulas, this is the course for you. You have to start from the basic, and we'll go till that level 9, right? Because one level you have to always give up, because Excel is so vast, right? So this course would be done in around 6 portions. I've just jotted down my notes, so I'll be, if you hear sound or page turning, then that is me turning up my notes. So first three, maybe chapters would be on basic information, and then the remaining portion, part 2, would be on using formulas, right? So how to use formulas, and in formulas we'll use different types of formulas: worksheet functions, text manipulation, date and time, counting and summing techniques, right? You can use sum if as VLOOKUP. So that, then coming to the lookup, VLOOKUP, H lookup, there is a lot of kind of debate about whether you want to use X lookup or VLOOKUP or H lookup. So X lookup is a new function. Then working with tables and list, which is very important. Very few people actually know about tables and list. So here we are going to cover that, right? And then miscellaneous calculation. Finally, we are going to move to financial formulas like NPV, IRR, this sort of calculation, discounting and depreciation, right? Financial schedules, which is loan. So if you have gone through that loan chapter in CM1, which is the actual for this for actual student, so you probably have already covered that. So financial schedules, and finally we are going to cover this or complete this with arrays. Array is the toughest form of Excel formula. So when I mean someone is advanced user in Excel, that person should be able to use arrays. So if someone is giving themselves 9 out of 10 in Excel, that person should be very well versed in array formulas, right? And there is a method that you can use for array formulas. And finally, miscellaneous things like chart cleaning data, or chart related like embedded chart. We have already seen that, pivot tables, conditional formatting, data validation, right? And finally we'll end this with kind of mega formulas, right? Like which will be huge formulas, how we write huge formulas, and what is the process, right? So these are all the things that we are going to cover. So you can see that there is a lot that we have to cover, but the first three chapters should be easier, and then it will get tougher and tougher, and finally with array formulas it will reach a peak, and then slowly it will also come down, and we are going to end with mega formulas, right? So in this course we are not going to cover anything related to VBA, because VBA is a separate course and we are going to cover that in a separate course that will also be done in the first half of 2025, right? So if you are, one of the enthusiast for Blue Dragon Universe, then in the next hub we'll bring SQL and Python, one library after another, so that from 2026 we might start creating courses on AI, and there we'll go into the maths and then also the coding. There is no course in the market who would even come close to that, right? So the depth of that. So stay tuned for that. Tech is the future, and that is where, if you have to mark your presence in tech, Excel is the kind of the place where you begin and also where you analyze your data, right? So that is how we are going to start. So enough about what we are going to do and what we are going to cover. Let us start with Excel. So today is a basic concept about Excel, and we have to understand how Excel kind of works, right? And then we can go into multiple other things, right? So Excel in a nutshell. So Excel is actually, Excel is a product of Microsoft, and as I mentioned, Excel is the best ever application that is created for Windows. Even today, I use Excel. I still learn new things in Excel, and I mean, there is no software which is as flexible as Excel even today. Right, so there are multiple versions of Excel. I think we are in 2025, and I think Excel probably has 50 or 60 versions. But I think each version, Excel is now integrating more and more of AI into this. So Excel is usually good for number crunching, then creating charts, right, organizing list, text manipulation, accessing other data, graphical dashboard, which is where I mentioned that, if you know Excel and if you know SQL, Power BI is useless. People use this to create dashboards, but then we can do that in Excel as well. People who do not know that actually will use that. And then graphics and diagrams and automating complex tasks, so which is where VBA comes into picture, complex tasks. But then, yeah, that is how it is, right? So it has multiple things like pivot table, which can be used to, kind of simplify your data analysis, and then you can do time line wise filtering, quick analysis, chart formatting, etc. So many things that you can actually do. But how I understand Excel is, the based on the object oriented concept, like Excel, this whatever you see here, right? This entire thing, right? Whatever you are seeing, this is this is the Excel application, right? So this is the biggest object, and within that object we have something called worksheet, right? Which is like, if you remember, like if you know something about VBA, this is how we also address. So the biggest object is the Excel application, right? That is the mother of all object. From there we create workbook, which is also this is also kind of represented here, right? This is the workbook. From there we come to worksheet. Now if you click on worksheet, if you want to create worksheet, there are multiple types of worksheet. We only use this type of worksheet where, which is a horizontal spreadsheet. These are called rows and columns. These are, and where we are clicking, these are called cells, right? So you can enter data. It can be text. It can, like, there are so many things. There are so many ways you can enter data. Like if I just press Control 1, I'm pressing Control 1, right? So these are the types of things that you can enter. The general categories, the number, currency, accounting, date, time, percentage, fraction, scientific text. There are so many things that you can enter. You can also kind of select the alignment of the text, how the text would be in the cell, whether it will be in the middle of the cell, or the left hand side, or right hand side, vertical, integral. So many things, right? You can choose the font, you can choose the border of this cell, you can make it in this manner. Suppose you are kind of choosing this one, define. So you can choose dark. So there are so many things, right? You can close this. You can see this cell has changed a bit, right? Once again, I'm going to press Control 1. Then you can change the color of the cell. You can make this like this, right? So you can change the color of the cell. And once again, I'm pressing Control 1. And you can also protect the cell. You can keep it locked, right? You can keep it locked. You can keep it hidden. So there are so many things that we can do with this cell, right? So cell is the smallest object. But coming back to the worksheet, if you click here and if you click on this insert, right, so it will ask you to do multiple things. You can also create, now Excel macro is part of VBA, international macro worksheet once again part of VBA, and Excel MS Excel 5.0 dialog, this is also kind of part of VBA. So we don't require that. In fact, and also in VBA coding we do not require that, but no, this is something that you should know, that this is these are also there. One thing important is chart sheet. You can also create chart sheet where there is a one chart would be created in a single, sheet, and something like this. It will be like this. Here you can be a, there can be some data, and that data might be, so that data can be present in sheet one, and that can be represented in chart, right? So in that way also you can represent the data, although the most prevalent use is to, kind of pop charts, is to create data within Excel. So we call that embedded chart, and these are chart sheets specifically designed for holding a single chart, right? So that is how it works. We are going to see this example later on in this course, right? So for now I'm going to delete this. I don't need this, right? And maybe so whenever you have to revert any changes, almost everything in Excel can be changed back by using Control Z. So I'm pressing Control Z. It's not working in this case. So let me remove this. Something does not work. So that is why I mentioned almost everything, but something does not work. So I'm just removing that. The border is still, I'm just checking no border, right? So now it is working fine, right? But usually if you do Control Z, and that is where it would mean that it is kind of redoing everything, right? It will undo that, and redo means Control Y, right? So suppose I'm just writing my name Arpan, and this is my surname Sengupta, right? So, and suppose I'm adding my middle name, although that is not present officially. Suppose this is how it is, right? Now, suppose I want to select all these three, right? So I'm just going to press Shift, Control, and down. Okay. So sorry about that. I'm just I'm just trying to handle my keyboard here in a better way, right? So Control Shift and down. This is how I'm going to, kind of select this three. Here also I can select it in this manner, and if I suppose I want to copy this Kumar down, right? So till this number of cells. So I have just I can just copy this. So when I want to copy something, I just press Control C. These are very common shortcut of Excel. Right? So I'm just pressing Control C, and suppose I want to copy it down till this level. So I'm going to press Control D, right? And you can see how it has copied down. So something that I want to copy down to the number of cells, you can do that, right, in that manner, right? Or suppose I want to copy this, so I'm using Control C to copy this. And in Excel, just try to always use shortcut, because if you use mouse, then it will be slow. And people who are good in Excel use a shortcut, right? So try to use shortcut. There are so many shortcut tricks that I'm going to show you in this. But anyways, if you just wanted to, kind of copy this, so Sengupta for all of this. So I've just selected this using Shift, right? So what I did is I press Shift and I press the down arrow in the keyboard, so that I have selected this, and then I'm going to press this, right? So this is how you can do that. And as I mentioned, there are multiple ways you can, kind of copy. So one of the simplest way to use any shortcut key is to press Alt, right? So if you press Alt, you can see that each of this, things are kind of represented by a number, right? So for example, if I want to go to maybe draw, right? So it is represented, I think, by JI, right? So if I press JI, so I'm going to get inside draw, right? Now there is S, then there is W, then there is E, right? So if I press E, then it will be converted into, see, my thing is converted into an eraser, right? You can see that, right? So in this way you can remember the shortcut, or sometimes there are other shortcut like Control C, Control V for pasting, right? And then Control W that I've shown you, the Control Shift down, Control Shift up, Control Shift on left hand side, Control Shift right hand side, right? So that will, you will get familiar. If you are not familiar with Excel, this is how you are going to get familiar, right? And just keep trying those shortcut, and try to always use shortcut, not use mouse to kind of do the calculation or whatever, right? So this is how you can also, and on the alt key would also help you identify the shortcut. If I just wanted to go to say formulas tab, so I'm just going to press alt, then I see, okay, this is M, formulas is written by M, so I'm pressing M, so immediately it goes to the formula. Now I want to suppose want to go to N, which is name manager, right? So I'm going to press N, so it is showing me this, right? So this is how we are kind of seeing the the method, right? But today's class is not about that. Today's class, because sooner or later we are going to cover many formulas. This course is of course on Excel formulas, right? So there we are going to cover that. I've already, I'm just checking my notes, so if I missed something, I've already covered worksheet. So worksheet is basically where you are, holding this data. You can create multiple worksheet. I don't know if there is any limit to the worksheet that you can create, but obviously there will be something, but I don't know the official figure from Microsoft. And also this, how big is the worksheet, you can see. So how big is something, you just press control and then I'm pressing down. If there is no entry in between, it will take me to the last cell, so control and down, right? So you can see there is 1048576, right? That is the kind of the length, white of the, or that we can call it length only. That is the length of the Excel workbook, or that is the number of rows in the Excel worksheet, not workbook. And then if I press control and left arrow, right? Control and right arrow, then we move to the columns, and this is XFD. And I don't even know how to interpret this mathematically, right? There is a formula for that. You can write this, which is column, right? So that would, now column would give you the column number, right? So I am writing equal to column. That is how we enter formula. Equal to column. You can also put a tab, right? And then it shows the help, shows that what should be put inside, right? So here the help would be, so I have to put the, the reference for this row, which is XFD1, right? Because we are in XFD. So I'm just going to maybe select one cell, which is this, because I don't want to, I see can it is written except C, right? But I want except D. I'm just going to change the C to D, and then I'm going to close the bracket, right? So it is 16384. So 16384 here, and here it is 104876. You can just multiply these two and see how vast Excel is. But obviously if you have entries in all this cell, then Excel will hang. It is not going to handle all the calculation. For that we have SQL, Python, which can handle that calculation. And why we need to use this formula here column, that is because we do not know the number, numerical number, right? But in row, we have a reference for the numerical number, right? So I've already mentioned about the chart sheet. Chart sheet hold only a single chart, right? It cannot hold multiple chart. And sometimes you want to keep a chart in a single worksheet. When I was writing CP2 paper for actuarial students, I used to create charts, and those which are important charts I used to create those chart in a chart sheet. But usually we do not use that. Usually we use kind of reference chart, right? Now suppose I have to move to the the home, right? The first cell, right? So I'm just going to press control and the left arrow, right? So control and the left arrow, I immediately come back to this, and you can see that there is a small window here which shows the current cell. Like right now I'm in B5, right now in E5, right? When we go to that name chapter, which is also given here, name manager, there this would be very important. I can name this cell instead of E5. I can name this cell blue dragon. Okay, so this cell, Excel will identify this cell as blue dragon, right? It does not take any space, so there is a method by which you have to give this name. So blue dragon, right? It will not take numbers or something like that. There are criteria for that, right? So now you can see this would be D5, but this would be called blue dragon, right? So I can call blue dragon, and whatever value is present in this cell, right? Suppose I am writing 10 here, right? So blue dragon is taking the value of 10. Now if I write blue dragon here, right? So you can see the moment I write blue dragon, Excel is automatically helping me to complete it. So if I put blue dragon here, right? So it is referencing that, right? You can see that. right? But these are things that once again that we are going to come at a later stage. But right now, let us focus on this thing, which is what we call ribbon. So it has file, home, insert, draw, which is where all the things are there. Usually in ribbon, you will not be able to see this developer tab, right? So how you get developer tab? Now, along with that, I also mentioned that Control Z, which is the undo button, works for most of the case, right? And Control Y also, which is the redo button, which works for most of the case. But there are certain cases where it does not work, right? And one of those cases would be file. So whatever changes you make to this using the file tab, right? So you can save, you can open file, you can also install add-ins. Add-ins are basically Excel macros which are written in a particular format which can automate your task. So that is what we call add-in, right? So you can also see your account, and I hope that you are not using a pirated version, because Microsoft has spent a lot in creating something like this. Please do not insult them by using a pirated version. No matter what is your reason, always use a proper version, right? There is no scope for piracy. If you are using a pirated version, somehow you are not ethical, and that is going to hurt you in the long run, right? There is info where you can click and it will show you what is your, who is the author, right? Who is doing the, here you can see my name, right? You can also protect this workbook, right? If I click on this, I can encrypt with the password, I can protect the current sheet, right? I can protect the workbook structure, so nobody would be able to add any worksheet or chart sheet, right? So that would be the structure, right? I can encrypt this, like whenever this file open, this would require us some password to open, so that it is safe. We can only protect the kind of the worksheet, right? So that is present in the protect workbook. So you can see all these changes. You can then save the file, you can share this file, right? So if you click on share, you can email this, provided your Outlook is configured, then only it will work. Microsoft also have Outlook, which usually is not configured, right? You can also export this, right, into PDF format. You can change the file type. While saving also, there are so many options available. You can save this in PDF format as well, right? So there are multiple things that you can do from this the file tab, right? So once again, if I go back to file, right, and there is also another thing which is very important, which is option tab, right? So if you go on option, these are the things that you can change, and usually I'll suggest not to kind of tinker with this one, right? So this is the general tab, this is formula tab, right? So how you are going to do the calculation, formula autocomplete is on. So all these default options should be sufficient. You should not be kind of tinkering with this, right? Proofing is another method where you can ignore the case, right? So you can go through this and you can understand all of this on your own. What I wanted to show you is the customize ribbon button. So as I mentioned, developer would not be present here, developer will be present somewhere here, right? But because I want the developer, because I am also recording for the the VBA work, VBA coding, so I have brought the developer here, right? So you can see the developer is here. I have to kind of bring the developer from here to here, right? You can also bring save as. There are multiple things that you can bring, and that will be visible in the ribbon tab, right? So that is how it works. And this is a very important tab. Here also you can add add-ins, like if you, I don't know if you have used linear programming, which is which is a mathematical thing, right? Which is used for maximization problem, linear maximization problem. For non-linear, we have calculus, but for linear, we use something which is that linear programming, that is calculus, right? And it's also based on game theory. So if you are aware of that, then there is a add-in called solver, which is used to solve this, right? Solve such problems. Anyways, I don't want to get into that. This is just an introduction. So file, whatever happens in file, I show how to, you can add the developer tab, but whatever is happening there, you cannot just change it using a control Z or control Y. That is for certain. Remaining things, it depends, right? Now all these things are contextual. So for example, if I click on insert, this thing will change. If I click on home, so depending on where I'm clicking, these are changing. So we have already seen cut, copy, paste, right? So control C is copy. If you do control X, that will be cut. You can see if I hover my mouse, it shows the shortcut, right? So then there is painter here, so which is you can copy the format of a particular cell in that manner. We have already seen this, the that the style, the color of the cell, right? This is the color of the text, this is the color of the cell. Once you hover your mouse, it will show what these things are, right? And that is why Excel is so friendly, that if so even if you do not remember something, you just remember, okay, this is how it is. Wrap text, it means if sometimes the name can go beyond a particular cell. Suppose some name is big, like this name, Pandit Gangadhar, right? So this is the name of the Shaktiman character, Vidyadhar, right? Mayadhar, Omkar Nath Shastri. See, this name is so big, it is kind of going back into other cells. So if I just want to do that, now how I can use shortcut Alt, right? Then H means I am going to the home, and then W is for wrap text, right? So I'm pressing W. The moment I do that, it will show that in the single cell, right? You can also alter the length of the cell. If you just bring the mouse to the column, it will just change it in that shape. You can see that, and then you can alter that. You can also click on this one, right? If you bring the mouse over the row, it is kind of changing its shape. Now if you just kind of double click, it will kind of structure it in a much more better way, right? So Pandit Gangadhar Vidyadhar Mahadhar Omkana Shatre, who are spelling over to the other cells, now got kind of clustered into one thing, right? So as I mentioned, now these are contextual, and everything has a group. This is alignment group, this is number group, this is style. If you go to data, there's also a group like get and transform, queries and connections, right? Sort and filter. So all these are kind of kept in groups, right? And you can easily navigate through that. You can just hover your mouse. So I have already mentioned that some of this can launch a dialog box, as for example, suppose text to column. Here a dialog box is launched, so you have to understand how this works, right? And then you can get the get to the data, right? And yeah, so you can also customize the UI. You can go to file option, right, and display the Excel option dialog box. So if I go to file, and then I am going to option, right? So there is this. Once again, I can, as I mentioned, you can customize the ribbon, right? So here you can see these are the popular commands and these are the main tabs. Obviously, I'll not suggest to kind of change anything here. Here you can see the home, and within home what are the things that are present, clipboard, front. So you can also bring this back, right? Then you will not be able to see that. I don't want to do that, but you can also, if you just click on cell and if you just remove this, then you'll not be able to see cells, right? So you can customize it as per your wish, right? Then you can add new things as well, right? Probably you can add all the copies in home tab, and you want to add copy in insert, you can add copy here as well, right? So this is how you can use and customize, right? But I don't want to do that. Customize ribbon is very important. Sometimes you want to customize, sometimes you do not want noise, so you want to remove something from the ribbon, that is also there, right? And I have already shown you how to use the quick access bar, like the save, undo, redo. So these are the quick access bar, right? Then I have already shown you the advanced portion, so where there are multiple things, multiple options. So you should go to the file and see what are the things that is present. And trust me, it's very easy to understand. Excel is written in a very image, so not image, it's a customer friendly manner. You'll be able to see that very easily and understand everything very easily, right? I've already shown you how to bring the developer option, so that is also very easy to do, right? Shown you a couple of shortcuts, and as and when we progress, we'll see much more shortcuts, right? I've shown you how to select a cell, kind of enter the data, right? And also there are multiple things that we are going to see. Something which is important but we do not use usually, because we have chat gpt these days, or we have a Google earlier. So that is help. You can also click on help, or you can just simply press F1, and you can use Excel as a very good help system. And it can help you to identify something, right? This is the format window where you can select the format for the number. Excel is usually done used for mathematical calculation, but though it is very good in text as well. So you want to see that, but it can do numeric formatting, it can do stylistic formatting, right? And then there is something called tables. So tables, I think it is present in insert, I'm just checking. Yeah, this is table, right? So table is a special, kind of special thing. So suppose here it is asking me to choose the range, right? So suppose I am going to choose this range, this and this, right? So this would be the range of the table, right? Very few people actually know about table or actually uses table. So this is how it is, right? Now suppose I am putting some value to then 3, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And suppose I'm going to copy this same value here, right? Just for demonstration purpose. Now suppose I want to multiply all this value, right? So if I just do this, so see here it shows in a different format at column one, right? And here, so it is multiplying the columns. This is how array also works. So array means it is not multiplying a single row, right? So what I'm done doing, whenever we write formulas in Excel, we just write an equal to sign. That means we are going to write formulas, and then whatever is the formula. So here it is column one into column two. So the moment I press this, it is showing me calculation for everything, right? All the rows are automatically filled. So this is, and there are multiple other features of tables which are so powerful that you'll be surprised that we do not use that, because very few people actually know about that, right? And here, of course, other than that, we are going to see multiple formulas, right? And there is one important thing, which is the charts, right? So these days Excel automatically recommends chart. Suppose you select this, right? And you click on this, so Excel will automatically recommend chart to you. However, you can choose your own chart, right? There are so many different types of chart: stock chart, surface chart, radar chart. Some there are some charts that I never have used, and neither I want to use, and neither I know about those, right? There's so many charts that is possible, right? So I, once again, I don't understand why people use Power BI, but you can use that charts, and more on the chart chapter, right? And yeah, of course, you can customize Excel, right? How you can customize Excel is by using the developer tab, which will not be covered in this course, but it will be covered in something, in our Visual Basic course. But if you click here on Visual Basic, right? So here you can, write your code. There are two types of code. One is called sub procedure and another is called function, right? So function is where you are using some function, like sum function, multiplication function. Usually you can just add a plus sign, use a plus sign, or use a multiplication sign, but you can also write a function for that, right? If you have to write function, then you have to create something which will be calling module, right? So then only you will be able to, right? So here you have to create something called module, but I don't want to get into details of that, right? See this module, you have to create something called module, right? So function can only be written module, but there the sub procedure, which is process, right? So that can be, kind of written anywhere. And the great thing about Excel or VBA, Visual Basic, is it can record macro, right? So there are many things that you do not have to remember the syntax of the code. You can actually record macro and do that. And there are so many times I've used macros, which has helped me tremendously, right? So I think that is pretty much it. And along with that, there is a pivot table, which again we are going to. So you go to here, pivot table is very good for data analysis, right? So you can click here once again, like table, it will ask you what table range you are going to choose the data, right? So I can choose the same, like here it is asking me, are you going to use table one, because table one is this range, right? So pivot table was originally created, the table was originally created for this purpose, to kind of use with pivot table, right? So if I just do that, it will create something like this. Here you can use multiple sort of data analysis, right? So I think that's it. I have already shown you how to password protect a, kind of workbook structure and workbook, right? So I think that's it for the first lesson, and yeah, see you in future videos.